What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next we are going to be going over the top 10 Silver Age Grail comics, and if any of them are looking good to be buying right now. Stay tuned. All right, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So the way this is going to work is that if you've seen some of my prior videos, you know that I have a new sponsor for the channel, Fanalytics. So what I'm going to be doing is the first 5 books of this top 10 are going to be coming out in this video on this channel. So that's going to be 10 through 6. And then the last 5, issues 5 through 1, are going to be coming out on Fanalytics YouTube channel. It's a separate video that I filmed that is going to be going out over there. So make sure that you head over to the Fanalytics channel and subscribe, watch that video, all that kind of stuff, because I'm going to have a giveaway that is going to be tied to the video on that channel. So if you want a chance to win that giveaway, which is this book right here, make sure you head over to Fanalytics. The link to their channel will be in the description of this video. And I'm going to be putting out content once a month on that channel as well. They also are going to have other content that's going out on there. Make sure you go over, subscribe to that channel, watch this video, have a chance to win that book. All right, now let's get into this video. This is my ordering of the top 10 Silver Age keys. It's my opinion of the order based on what I consider importance. It's not necessarily value, what I consider importance for the Silver Age key comics. Now, for pricing, I did what I've done in other videos like this in the past. I looked at the most common grade because then it's just more likely that I'm going to have more sales data for it. So the most common grade on the CGC census. And then I also looked at the price trends of this book prior to the comic booms. So basically, what was the average return on that book prior to the comic boom, and then extend that out to the current time, assuming the comic boom didn't happen. And that tells us where I think the prices of the books should be right now. And we can see if maybe some of them are still a little overpriced, some of them are looking good to pick up, all that kind of stuff. So like I said, I'm going to go through 10 through 6 here. I'm going to go through 5 through 1 on the Fanalytics channel. And then at the end of the video on the Fanalytics side, I'm going to compile it all together and we'll take a look and see which ones are really appealing. So with that, let's get into these books. All right, so we are starting here with number 10. This is Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is the first issue of Spider-Man's very long-running title, arguably the most popular character in the Marvel Universe. Probably not even arguably. I mean, the most popular character in the Marvel Universe. Now, I have thought that this might be a slightly controversial pick just because some people don't like this one because it's not the first appearance of Spider-Man, but being that #1, I think it's too big of a deal to leave off of this list. And it's just, this is such a major iconic Silver Age key. Now, the most common grade for Amazing Spider-Man #1 on the CGC census is a 3.0. Now, you'll see I have a few different pieces of information up here for the CGC census. I made a video very similar to this in August of 2021. So I thought it would also be kind of fun to show what the census was like back then versus now. So you can kind of see how many books really got graded of these major Silver Age keys over that comic boom period. It's not exactly the full comic boom because I did this video in August of 2021, but a big chunk of that comic boom period is covered here. And you can see how many additional big Silver Age keys were added during that time frame. So the total census right now for this book is 4,648. The total census back in August of 2021 was 4,247. So that is an increase of 401 copies, 9% in just about a year and a half or so, a little more than a year and a half. Now at a 3.0, there are 349 copies. There were 310 previously, so a jump of 39 copies or 13%. Pretty big jump. I mean, that seems like a lot of copies, 10% added in just about a year and a half onto the entire census when it's a major book. And so that really shows, like, when these prices of these books jumped, it really motivates people to send them in. Now, some of these might be regrade attempts, crack and resubmit attempts, but I would bet a pretty good percentage of them are actually new additions to the CGC census. Now, the current price that I've estimated for this book in a 3.0 is $9,500. It had an $8,700 sale in January, but a 2.5 sold for $9,000 in March, and a 3.5 sold for $10,560 in April. So $9,500 seemed pretty reasonable to me for this book. Now, when I looked at the pre-boom return on this book, and I had to pick some slightly different time periods depending on the different books here, but this one I looked from April of 2015 to April of 2020, it averaged a return of 10%. And I use compound annual growth rate to do this. That's how I calculated it. And now, based on that, for what this book was at in April of 2020, it was going for around $5,400. The estimated current value of the book should be about $7,200. So what that's telling me is that at least it appears that this book still has some room to drop before it gets back to that general return that was expected for this book if you took the comic boom out of play. Now, this book did have a peak sale of $16,800 for a 3.0. It has come down 43% since then, so it is significantly less risk than there was. But at least to me, it seems like there's about a 24% downside still on Amazing Spider-Man #1. So it's a book that I would at least be avoiding right now. All right, now let's move on to number 9. So number 9, we've got a DC book here. This is the first appearance of Hal Jordan, and this is Showcase number 22. Now, the tricky part with DC is that a lot of their big major keys are from the Golden Age, and so you don't have nearly as many from the Silver Age, but there are a couple, and this is one of them. Now, the DC Silver Age keys, they are rare in comparison. When you look at the CGC census, total census currently is 1,333 with 1,104 blue labels. Now, back when I made this video before, there were 1,177. That is a jump of 156 copies or 13%. Pretty big jump, actually more than that Amazing Spider-Man. Part of it could be because of how much this book has jumped in price. Now, at a 3.0, just 154 copies on census, but a jump from 130 or 19%. 24 more copies, 19% jump. Now, the 3.0 again was the most common grade for Showcase 22. Its current price is about $3,400. Definitely a tricky one to price. There is some price compression going on around the 3 to 3.5 range, but I have it at about $3,400. Now, for DC, they don't seem to show nearly as much of that growth, that annual growth, as you see with Marvel. The pre-boom annual growth for this book was just 6% from April of 2015 to April 2020. So based on what the price was on April of 2020, which is about $1,850, the current estimated value that I have for this book is just $2,200. So this one appears that it is still pretty elevated, quite a bit above where I would expect it to be if we took the comic boom out of the picture. It has a downside potential of 35%. Now, this book did peak at $4,500. It's come down 24% since then. That's nowhere near as much as we've seen with a lot of the Marvel books. A lot of them have come down 40, 50%. This one just down 24, and that could be why we're seeing that it is still, at least appears to be, overvalued. Now, there has been a lot of hype around Green Lantern with James Gunn and DC and the new Green Lantern show that's going to be coming out, all of that. But at least to me, this one seems like there is some definite risk, especially considering what the pre-comic boom annual return is. So Showcase 22 is a book that I personally would be avoiding right now. All right, let's move on to number 8. This one, I feel like, I don't know if everybody would have this one in their top 10, but to me, I think this is a significant book. It is the only villain book that I have on this list of a major Silver Age key in the top 10 that's a villain. And so this is the first appearance of Dr. Doom, Fantastic Four, number 5, one of the most iconic villains from Marvel. Now, the most common grade for this one is a 4.0. There are 200 blue labels. Back when I did this video before, there were 173. That's a jump of 27 copies or about 16%. Total census, definitely less than what we see with a lot of the other big Marvel Silver Age keys, just 2,181 copies on census, a jump of 323 from the last time I did this video, or a jump of 17%. Now, this big jump that we see for this book in graded copies is not a surprise based on how much of a price spike we saw with this book. This book has gone nuts over the last few years. Now at a 4.0, I estimate the current price to be $8,500. And when I look at the pre-boom return on this book, it definitely had a strong return. 18% from 2015 to 2018. Now, the reason I didn't go to 2020 with this one is that this book, as well as some others, when Marvel reacquired these properties, you saw an immediate jump in the books. And it's almost like they set a new baseline. So it was hard to identify the trend if you took that into account. So I went from 2015 to 2018, averaged an 18% return. That means today, its current estimated value would be about $6,900. So it does appear to still have some room to possibly drop. It still has a downside of around 19% based on my estimate. Now, this book in a 4.0 had a peak sale of $13,200. It has come down 36% since then, but like I said, does appear to still need to come down a little bit more. However, the thing that I want to point out with this book is that you can see that its pre-boom annual return was 18%. That 18% would make up that downside in 1 year, approximately. So that means that if you waited a year, even if you bought the book at today's price, you'd probably be even again. So this is one of those books that, yeah, it has some room to drop, but it could also just kind of stay flat for the next year. And then it would be back in line with that trend. All right, now on to number 7. Here we've got Journey into Mystery, number 83. First appearance of Thor. This has become a much more popular book with his introduction into the MCU. I think it's made him a much more relatable character. Now, the most common grade for Journey into Mystery, number 83, is a 4.0 with 189 blue labels on the census. There were 176 back in August of 2021. It looks like I did not update the change number. It says 27, but it is supposed to be 13, but it is a 7% increase. The percent is right. So it's a 7% increase. The total census jumped from 2,097 to 2,344, or a 12% jump. So quite a few additional copies of this book added over the last about year and a half. Now, the current price for a 4.0 is approximately $8,500. It had a pre-boom annual return of 11% from 2015 to 2020. So based on the fact that in April of 2020, this was about a $6,000 book with an 11% growth rate, that would put it at about $8,200. So you can see that estimated value, because these are just rough estimates, right? So that estimated value is very close to the current approximate price of this book, just 4% within that price. So to me, this is one that if you're interested in picking up a Journey into Mystery, number 83, it seems like a pretty low risk time to be considering buying this book. It is pretty much back in line with the prices prior to the comic boom. Now, this book in a 4.0 had peaked at $16,800. It has come down 49% since then. That is the biggest drop of any of the books I've talked about so far. So you can see this one really has come back down, gotten in line, and it seems like a pretty reasonable book to be picking up right now. All right, so now the last book of this video, and then you're going to have to jump over to the Fanalytics YouTube channel to see numbers 5 through 1. Now, this one, I always like to point out, Newbie Comics, he's going to be real excited to see this one on the list. And especially when you see, it looks like this is one that you should be picking up right now. This is Tales of Suspense, number 39, first appearance of Iron Man. And like Thor, this has become a much more popular character because of the MCU. He has become a very established character. Now, the most common grade, again, is a 4.0, 182 blue labels on census, a jump of 18 or 11% since August of 2021. Total census, 2,665 with 1,994 blue labels, a jump of 246 or about 10% since August of 2021. So you've seen pretty consistently, we've been adding about 10 to 15% more copies over this comic boom. That seems like a pretty substantial jump, and I think just the value that was out there for these books really drove people to get them graded. Now, the current price for a 4.0 is about $9,500. It had an annual return prior to the comic boom of 13. And I think part of that is just that Iron Man, Tony Stark, he's a little more popular than Thor. And so we see a little bit more of an annual return for this book. And so based on that, this book was going for about $6,400 in April of 2020. So it should be at about $9,200 right now based on that return. You can see, again, we are very close to that current estimate of $9,500. So another book that I would be very comfortable looking at this book right now. And honestly, it is one of the books that I've been keeping an eye on, even though I kind of tease Newbie about it and everything like that. It is one of those books that I've been keeping an eye on because it really does look appealing right now at these price points. Now, the interesting thing with this one is it also had a peak sale for a 4.0, same as Journey into Mystery number 83 of $16,800. It has come down 43% since then. And yeah, just those two books definitely are ones that I am keeping my eye on. If you're looking for those big Silver Age grails and you're trying to, I don't know, time when you pick them up, you try to get your most value for those books. Tales of Suspense 39 and Journey Mystery 83 look pretty appealing right now. So if you want to see the top 5 from this list, again, make sure you go check out the video on Fanalytics. I will put the link to their YouTube channel in the description of this video. All right, so I hope you enjoyed numbers 10 through 6. Remember, if you want to see the remainder of these books, go over to the Fanalytics channel, watch that video, subscribe, get a chance to win this book if you follow the instructions on that video. If you want to see more of my videos, I got more videos over here. The subscription button is right here, and I will see you in the next video.